Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. I'm Beall. This is not really going to be one of our instructional videos. This is going to be some of my personal observations based on some of the observations of Nietzsche, because I can see the vision that the man saw, which humanity apparently can't do for itself. He noted in Zarathustra, he asked the question, what is the ape to man? A laughingstock or a painful embarrassment? And just the same shall man be to the overman, a laughingstock or a painful embarrassment. From where I sit, humanity is both a laughingstock and a painful embarrassment. As Nietzsche noted in Beyond Good and Evil, the type of man that inhabits the world today is a smaller, almost ridiculous type, a herd animal, something eager to please, sickly and mediocre. And as he noticed in Human All Too Human, the modern individual focuses too narrowly on his own short lifespan and wants to pluck the fruit himself from the tree he plants, and so no longer likes to plant those trees that demand a century of constant tending and are intended to provide shade for long successions of generations. This is what humanity is. They're an instant gratification herd, a bunch of breast-beating apes in the wilderness, all screaming for the world to change but unwilling to change themselves on an individual level. They want the world to change to their petty, sorry-ass ego demands. Make the world change so it conforms to my ideals, my ideologies, my religious beliefs. Let's make everyone the same. Let's all believe the same religion. Let's all believe in the same national theories. Let's all believe in everything in unison, but it has to conform to the individual and what they want. The second cognition is aspiring to be beyond what you presently are. As Nietzsche said in Beyond Good and Evil, the concept of greatness entails being noble, wanting to be by oneself, being able to be different, standing alone, and having to live independently. In Will to Power, he said it this way, there is a solitude within him that is inaccessible to praise or blame, his own justice that is beyond appeal. Now, humans living in the first cognition, they can't comprehend this stuff because they're answerable to everybody, or they want everybody to be answerable to them. They want the world to spin around their ass and their beliefs and their ideas and their morals and their dogmas. They want everything to conform to their ideologies. You hear these constant calls for public dialogues. How many of you have ever seen a public dialogue about anything? Congressmen trot it out whenever they have a political agenda that they want to bring before the public. We need to have a public dialogue. Have you ever participated in one, folks? Have you seen the hollowness of the words? There is no public dialogue. There cannot be a public dialogue because everybody is pulling against each other for their own piece of the pie, plucking their own fruit from the tree at this point in time. Change the world, but make it change to what we want it to be, what I want it to be, so it conforms with my idea. Heaven forbid I have to change myself before I can change the world. The world has to change to conform to me. That is the ego hapim virus in full force and effect, ladies and gentlemen. That's why humanity is a laughable joke and a painful embarrassment for one who has reached a higher level of cognitive awareness to see the tomfoolery of this planet and this species. Islamics want the world Islamic, and Christians want the world Christians, and Marxists want the world Marxists, and nobody is willing to give a goddamn inch to have a public dialogue or discussion about anything. Everybody is willing to trespass on anybody else to get what they want and scream the loudest when they feel that they're being trespassed on by somebody else. The fact of the matter is, there is no such thing as evil. The only evil there is tyranny. There's not a crime you can name, not an offense you can imagine that doesn't have a foundation in tyranny, and tyranny is always one person or a group of people, a mob, a herd, trespassing on somebody else, forcing their will on somebody else against their will. That is evil. There's only two options in this cosmos, folks. There's tyranny and there's freedom, and they cannot coexist. If you opt for freedom, it means you have to be totally responsible for yourself. It's not your business to mind everybody else's business. It's your business to mind your business first and above all. If you can't mind your own goddamn business, you got no business trying to mind somebody else's. Yet if you look at this species planet-wide, everybody is minding everybody else's business and nobody is cleaning up the shit off their own front porch. Until you decide to clean up your own garbage, we're not going to change the world for the better. As individuals working together through public dialogues, discussions, and coming up with a better plan than following the goddamn herds and trying to bend reality to our own personal whims and desires. This is why humanity is a laughable embarrassment and why it's a painful joke to watch from where I sit. It's like watching a bunch of schoolyard bullies and schoolyard victims. They are the bully and the victim all at the same time. And this is where humanity sits, and this is humanity's mindset. Humanity should be embarrassed and totally ashamed of what it is because it is so childish and so foolish and so self-focused and selfish and self-directed. You're not going to change the world until you change yourself. And if you're unwilling to change yourself and the world comes crashing down around your ears and this species blows itself into oblivion, then you're all goddamn well deserving of it because you won't give an inch to become something more than what you are. There's those who are going to ask, do you think you're better than us? Well, I know one thing for sure. My consciousness is definitely more advanced than yours because I can see the idiocy of this, and I've done what I've had to do to change myself to transcend all this nonsense. So yeah, I'm better than you because I see things more realistically. I see things more pragmatically. I'm not playing somebody's victim. I'm not playing somebody's hero. If humanity wants to change this planet and change this species for the better, it's got to start with the individual. It's not going to start with the group. It's not going to start with mass movements and protests and elections and all this other herd-minded hogwash. It's not going to happen relinquishing your responsibility to somebody else to do what you should be doing for yourself. It's not going to happen so long as you want to be a victim, so long as you feel entitled to the labor of others just because of who you are and what your particular situation in life may be. Nobody owes you squat. And the sooner you can transcend this, and every human is privy to this ideology, this mindset, this virus-infected mentality. Until humanity can transcend this stuff, they are nothing but a laughable embarrassment to the rest of the cosmos. Nobody wants to set foot on this planet because of the idiocy of this species, because of the aggravated, self-inflicted ignorance displayed by this species as a whole. And there's not a single person on this planet that hasn't transcended out of it that can say, I don't do that. Bullshit. You all do it. Every goddamn one of you. That's why you're a painful embarrassment, why you're a laughable excuse for a human being. Because you don't want to be more than what you are. You want to take what you are and make everything and everybody conform to that ideology, whatever it may be. Make the world shape itself to suit me and my grandiose ego, my self-perpetuating, self-indulgent, selfish, individual person. Give it all to me the way I want it, and if I can't have it the way I want it, then I'll destroy it. That's the mindset of humanity. And if this species does not want to be any more than that, then they deserve what they get. From the second cognition, I'm standing outside of it, observing all of this foolishness, waiting for the next scandal, waiting for the next group to start and get out there and get a herd going in protest. Humanity is nothing but a herd animal. You can't think for yourself, by yourself. You have to get a group to follow you or follow some group. Whenever you can find your own individuality, then you might find genuine personal responsibility. Until that time, you're a herd beast, easily driven by emotional cattle prods, by people that know exactly how to push your buttons and wind up your keys so you're just a toy to their designs. So sit and deny. But if you do an honest self-analysis and you look around at the world, everybody is stuck in meism. It's what I want. Give it to me the way I want it. And if I can't have it that way, I'll break the toys to keep you from playing with them. That's the childish mentality of this entire fucking species. So we sit here at second cognition and beyond and look back at the foolishness and just wonder what kind of stupidity this species is going to come up with next. Because one thing there's not short on above everything else is ego, arrogance, and stupidity. Anyway, this is a vent. I'll admit it's a vent. But if people have asked, what is it like when you're on the second cognition? This is what it's like. Observing total foolishness in an entire planet-wide species that can't pull its head out of its ass to go beyond anything except what its immediate wants and desires and herd mentality dictates to it. So be the herd animals, or decide to change it. We've given you the tools and the direction to change it. If you don't want to change it, then live with your stupidity and your idiocy. We're sitting on the sidelines watching, observing, and kind of shaking our heads in dismay at the utter fallacy, foolishness of it all. Humanity is a total embarrassment. And unfortunately, at this point, I'm not real proud to say I'm part of this species. But I know one thing, I've transcended the mindset that controls you. When you can transcend it, you're going to see this same pathetic, sadistic, self-destructive, selfish picture of a species that cares so little about itself that it's not deserving a better future unless it's willing to make it for itself. And it's not going to do it by relinquishing your responsibility, your obligation to change yourself before you can change the world. You don't put the cart before the horse. The horse in this situation is you. If you want to change the world, you have to change you first. And if you're unwilling to do that, you're undeserving of any of the rewards of what that can benefit this species. So that's my lecture. Take it or leave it. And for those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourselves.